Welcome. All right, welcome. My name is Henry Danielson. I'm super psyched to be here today, super stoked to be with all of you. Talk a little bit today about the California Cyber Innovation Challenge 2020 and what we accomplished this year during, of course, the COVID-19 pandemic. We used some VR and gamification in our challenge this year. A little bit about myself. I'm a professor at Cal Poly State University in San Luis Obispo, California. I also run a small school district, as well as a technical advisor at the California Cyber Security Institute. So again, honored to be here. Thank you for NICE and everyone else that's attending. And I appreciate all of you and your separate missions to help everyone on the path of cybersecurity in this new decade of tech. So first of all, I just want to kind of talk a little bit about our journey. We definitely had to pivot this year from an in-person environment where we used to, last year we had students come, stay on the dorms, come to our military base and Cal Poly and learn by doing with immersive environments. And we had sets all rigged up. Last year we did a medical hack where some cool things happened, and we had set up 9 different medical rooms to have the kids go through and go through that challenge. But this year was a little bit of a challenge to change that and go to virtual. So this year's California Cyber Innovation Challenge is basically the state of California's cybersecurity championship for middle school and high school students. And, you know, moving again from that physical to virtual was really, really challenging, but I feel like we did a really wonderful job having, over 400 high school and middle students claim and participate, and over 78 teams. And this was really great for me. I get a little verklempt because that means I'm touching over 400 or 500 high school and middle school students and introducing them to things like Wireshark, autopsy, lots of different components. And this year was really like any other. We did a cyber mystery, kind of an escape room or a electronic clue, I like to call it, but not a typical CTF, because the students had to learn about a satellite that was actually hacked and came down, crashed to Earth, and they had to go through multiple rooms, and you'll see a video in a little bit of that. But really, really amazing to see this video game type platform that we were able to use. I also like to talk about the students that helped us. This was an all Cal Poly student run event, besides myself and some other administrators and faculty. But it's not just for computer science students, right? It's for engineering students. And we've worked with many disciplines and majors, including liberal arts majors, the graphic communications, sociology majors, and mechanical engineering. And this was really cool because I feel like we're getting other disciplines to get into the cybersecurity realm and understand that they have a part in it as well. And what was really cool was I asked for a quote from our sociology major, Vanessa. And she said she wanted to be in cybersecurity because her dad had such a passion for computer programming, right? So you think, okay, you have someone that does that in the house. But she said she never saw herself as being that programming type. And she kind of figured, you know, I never knew how to get into the field and thought it would never be a possibility given her major, which was sociology. And that really didn't have anything to do with cybersecurity, or was it ever brought up in her major. So she got the opportunity to start planning events with the California Cyber Institute and doing and working with us at the California Cyber Innovation Challenge. And she found it was a way for her to upskill and her skill set to cybersecurity in a way she'd never thought imaginable. And after getting an introduction to the field, she got to see all the ways in which non-technology talented people could work and facilitate in this field, which made her, you know, kind of find her passion, as this policy. And she really wants to become a policy analyst. And she told me the other day she would like to go do policy as well as cybersecurity and risk analysis and continue on and get her master's. So it was kind of a cool story. So the next thing I'm super pumped to show you right now is a wonderful video. And this is a walkthrough video of the rooms as well as the cyber Python and emulated satellite that we actually ran. So without any further ado, let me crack this.
This is the Network Operations Center. The overall goal of this puzzle is to gain access to the computer in the room and the files on it. When participants enter the room, they will see a traditional-looking office space designed to appear as the office of an executive at a satellite infrastructure company. Participants will use their knowledge of commonly kept passwords and passphrases, as well as contextual clues throughout the room to gain access to the computer. This is the control room, designed after a control room in a ground control station. When participants enter the room, they will see 4 main desks with monitors and several workstations underneath large projectors. Participants will have to use their knowledge of logic gates, ciphers, and general problem-solving skills to succeed in this room. This is the clean room. The overall goal of this room is to figure out how to unlock the clean room computer. When participants first walk in, they will see the outside prep area of a clean room. It is filled with personal protective equipment, such as bunny suits, foot protectors, and sticky mats. Participants will use their knowledge of Huffman coding and common clean room practices to solve this puzzle. The overall goal of this room is to access data on the crashed satellite. This room is an open outdoor landscape where a failed rocket launch crashes back down to Earth. Pieces of the satellite cover the ground surrounding a small tool shed. To solve this puzzle, participants must find out key information from the crash site and use their knowledge of coding and satellite structure. After solving all of the other rooms, students can access the courtroom to get information on potential suspects in this cybercrime.
After the participants have gone through the 3D rooms, they will have access to the instance that you're looking at with a bunch of different files and programs and challenges that they'll have to look at to try to piece together the puzzle and solve the crime that has occurred. The first one that they'll have is this program called STK Viewer. This is going to allow the participants to see satellite positions, and there's going to be some small challenges within it asking about satellite orbits, some things about missing characters and coordinates and where and when satellites were flying over what countries. And so the participants will have to answer these questions. Immediately after, they're going to go and start looking at a Raspberry Pi. There's a Raspberry Pi with a Python script that was running on it, as well as some CSV files that were captured from it. And this is going to pair with a Wireshark PCAP, which is going to be taken from the crime scene. And they're going to also find CSV logs, connections, and other things that are going to help them pinpoint who exactly is the culprit behind this crime. They're then going to go to autopsy, where they can look through the people's computer that is being imaged and under investigation after picking it from the 3D virtual courtroom set. This is going to require them to have an understanding of file systems, common data hiding techniques, such as hiding files, moving things to the trash, putting things in obscure files, and a few other things that we'll save for the challenge. And then finally, they're going to have a satellite code that was running that simulates a satellite's operating system and allows the participants to interact with the peripherals. And so this will let you look at the altitudes, temperature, motion, electronics, transmissions of it, and then also ping the satellite and see why it crashed and what has occurred here. So we're excited to have the participants go through the challenge and share what we've made with you.
So I'm really excited. That video has really been helpful to kind of explain to other folks out there what our event was like. And I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. These are students that are creating this at Cal Poly, and it's really amazing. Another huge component of part of our actual event is after the technology is done and it's over, on Sunday, they have to present actually to a professional panel. and they have to use a 5-point presentation slide deck and prove how and what technical parts they use and who the actual culprit was and where the evidence came from. So this was really, really critical because it shows them their soft skills, and it also has to, we want people and develop the next generation of cyber sleuths that can actually communicate and collaborate and do wonderful things together in a collaborative environment. Another component about this competition that I'm really proud of was we were able to garner some of the top individuals on the planet. We had Vince Cerf, one of the fathers of the internet, as well as the interplanetary internet. He's worked at JPL with the space networks and all different kinds of things. He opened up the event. We also had Jeff Moss, so stoked. He is DEF CON as well as Black Hat's creator and one of the premier ethical hackers on the planet. He gave some wonderful information about what it's like to be a hacker, the future, the decade of tech, he was calling it, is the future and what they're calling it. And of course, I was having a little fun here wearing my space helmet and as the MC and trying to get the young people very excited about it. And last but not least, we actually had Renee Wynn, who is the retired NASA CIO. So that was a really big win for us. And the next video I want to show you is a quick excerpt of their talks. They gave about 3 to 5 minutes or whatever, quick talks to the students about cybersecurity and their roles in this. So without further ado, let me jump on over here to this video.
Hello, my name is Vince Cerf. I'm Google's Chief Internet Evangelist. Thanks for participating in this year's challenge. I want to welcome you all to the California Cyber Innovation Challenge 2020. What you are learning this weekend is paramount to our theme, the convergence of space and cybersecurity. I'm excited to see students gaining skills in the cyberspace domain. Protecting data stored by satellites is more important than ever before. Our adversaries are weaponizing space, and it's our responsibility to defend our national assets. As students participating in the CCIC, you're not only an important part of this solution, but also at the frontier of amazing opportunities.
Hi, I'm Jeff Moss, also known as the Dark Tangent, and the founder and creator of both DEF CON, the largest hacking conference in the world with maybe 30,000 people. Last time we did it in person last year, pre-COVID, and Black Hat, one of the world's largest information security conferences. So between the two of them, I've spent my life mostly focused on either hacking or on InfoSec. You can hear that in the background. I'm trapped right now in Singapore, recording this when I would rather be there live, kicking off the event. But I have a couple ideas I want to share with you, and I want to really thank you for inviting me. It's been a while since I've talked to anybody in high school or the middle school area interested in cybersecurity or hacking. So I've got a couple of thoughts, tell you a little bit about my history and why I think what you're doing now is so exciting, and why the next decade, they say, is going to be the decade of tech. And in that decade of tech, people like you are going to become really important. So let me give you a couple of thoughts. When I started back in the day, 20, 30 years ago, over 30 years ago, in hacking, there's a couple of things I realize now, looking back, that were so important to me. And they taught me basically everything I needed to know about my life was through hacking. For example, I learned that knowledge is king. Right? What I knew, what I didn't know, I had to understand what I didn't know to understand where to go find the information to learn it, if I really needed to, right? So understanding what you know and what you don't know, really important, because you can't really fake it. It's kind of hard to pretend you know something when you don't. You'll get called out, you'll run across a real expert, and then the game's up, right? You can't fake it anymore. But on the other hand, it was okay to ask for help. The whole community was built around finding mentors. I spent a lot of my youth trying to find other people willing to teach me. And I think that rubbed off on me because as I grew up and started DEF CON, it was all about essentially teaching the next generation of hackers. I didn't know it at the time that's really what I was doing, but in hindsight, that's essentially what I was doing, building a community of hackers, academics, researchers, people who break things, fix things, and then getting them to tell everybody else what they discovered and teach them. Right? That's a big part of what you're going to do for the rest of your life, explaining what it is, how you do what you do to other people. And a large part of that, I found out, is who you know, as more and more of society goes online. And then finally, the good news is, because of this, you've got a job for life, if you want, right? Employment for life. But the bad news is, you've got employment for life. And so it's going to be really important for you to manage burnout. Think about it this way. You're not fighting to solve cybersecurity. You're not going to get into this field and fix it, solve everything. But what you're going to do is you're going to get in here and you're going to make fantastic contributions. You're going to make products safer for citizens. You're going to maybe help policymakers pass better laws to help everybody. You're going to do things with real impact for society. And you're going to work toward making cybersecurity safer, make the society and the technology safer. But you're not going to solve it. And that's okay, because nobody's asking you to solve it. We're just all looking at you as the next generation of hackers and researchers that are going to deeply understand this technology, and you're going to work to make the world a better place. And no pressure, but I'm counting on you.
So good afternoon, and what an honor it is to provide a few closing remarks for this year's unusual and still exciting California Cyber Innovation Challenge. Congratulations to all 92 teams for your engagement, your collaboration, and of course, your perseverance. The conversion of space, and I mean outer space, in cybersecurity is a blossoming field filled with opportunities for years to come. Why do I say this? On September 4th, the President issued Space Policy Directive number 5, titled Cybersecurity Principles for Space Systems. This document will guide the development of space systems to be more resilient to cyber incidents and better protect our space assets. The policy directive even mentions that these cybersecurity principles and practices that apply to terrestrial systems also apply to space systems. There is an enormous opportunity for innovation in cybersecurity in space. Our current best practices can quickly become obsolete if we fail to continually improve and ask ourselves, what must be different to mitigate evolving risks? I love those moments when you role play a nefarious caper and you address it. There are no boundaries for the nefarious actors, so there can be no boundaries to your effort to prevent, prepare for, and respond to a cyber incident. How is it that the NASA CIO came to champion improved cybersecurity practices for space systems? Like most people, our passions are born from experience and/or exposure to topics. In my case, and that of my former and fabulous team, it was both experience and exposure. We got to learn a lot about the Deep Space Network at NASA because of an incident. It took months to review the data from more than 1,800 servers and develop recommendations to improve the systems and mitigate significant risks. This became a pivotal moment for NASA and space system cybersecurity, led by my office and NASA's Human Exploration Office.
All right, so first of all, I was very honored that we were able to ask these wonderful people to speak to our students with such inspirational advice, knowledge, just really, really great. Another thing that I'm really proud about this year that we were able to do was we partnered with a great company called Ningio, and they're in California. And what they do is they create small Hollywood professional, our episode, John Lovitz, and they use Hollywood actors as voice folks to be able to tell a wonderful story. And this year, Zach gave us a quote. They collaborated with us and created a Ninja episode that included a hacked satellite bypassing physical security and infusing social engineering tactics. Ninja is proud to support middle and high school students as they further their knowledge and career paths pertaining to cybersecurity. Again, this is another way we are trying to engage our students, is by using professional cartoon-like videos to let them know how the story unfolded and what it was gonna entail. So I wanna show you this video real quick. It's really, really good, and hopefully you enjoy.
New research has revealed a dramatic increase in the frequency of physical security breaches, translating to an average cost of millions of dollars per affected organization. But occasionally, the consequences are far worse than lost profits.
Come on, come on! There's nothing I can do. They're gonna crash. I can't believe this!
Look! What's it say?
You have been hacked. You have 24 hours to pay 4,000 Bitcoin or we crash an entire constellation of satellites into the International Space Station?
That would knock out whole communication sectors, including cell phone, radio, and TV. This is a huge national security threat.
Not to mention the damage this would do to the ISS and international relations. So, we pay the ransom.
There's no guarantee they won't go through with destroying the satellites anyway, especially since it's Techno who's behind this. Techno's a group of neo-Luddites, headed by Max Evans. They believe all the world's problems can be solved by wiping out technology.
So they're motivated by more than just money. Okay, so we won't pay them. But what if we're wrong? What then?
Don't pay the ransom.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure. My forensics team figured out how the hack was orchestrated. It was a physical security breach. We found security footage of the incident. The perpetrator, disguised as a courier, used a stack of boxes to trick an unsuspecting employee into holding a door open for him, granting him access to our building. Once inside, he tried to use the same method to gain access to the clean room. Only this time, one of our employees asked for his ID. Thing is, the bad actor pretended he lost it, at which point he uses his charm and time pressure to get in, telling our employees the packages must be delivered to our chief design engineer by 7:45 a.m. or a supposed deadline would be missed. Then once inside, he promptly planted malware on our satellite.
Do you think the two employees are in on it too?
No. Physical security breaches usually happen because well-intentioned employees are overly courteous and trusting of others. Criminals know this and take full advantage, using social engineering techniques to get the upper hand.
So how do we protect ourselves?
Always follow company policy. In our case, no matter how convincing or rushed someone might seem, you must always ask for identification and confirm with the package's intended recipient before granting anyone access to a secure area.
Time's almost up.
Oh, let it run out. The method informs us this was an isolated incident.
All the satellites are functioning normally. You were right.
Of course I'm right. I'm the forensics guy.
All right. Whew.
Yes! Way to go!
Excellent work.
So hopefully you get the gist of how wonderful that was to be able to work with them directly and produce this wonderful video. And we worked together with the Hollywood writers as well as the actors, and really stoked that Ninja helped us do this, and the students loved it. The next thing I wanted to talk a little bit about was we were really honored to be able to actually test the California Cyber Innovation Challenge at DEF CON with the Aerospace Village. These people ran also another thing at DEF CON called the Hack-A-Sat. And we were actually able to run it and try it with real hackers, which meant we really had to lock down, make sure all of our stuff was secure, everything was good, all the different kinds of things that, you know, I think are really, really important. So we were really stoked and honored that we partnered with Aerospace Village to be able to do that. We actually ran this at Grey Hat this last weekend as well through Aerospace Village. So we're able to run this competition now, and it's just been a really wonderful ride and super proud of it. The next thing I want to hammer home is how wonderful it is that we use the NICE framework. We also partnered with them to create a success story of all the facets of the gaming environment, and it's all tied to the NICE framework. And we have this wonderful, write-up of it. And here's another image of the actual control room that you saw a little bit earlier about that video. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about kind of what it looked like. So we actually mapped each challenge, task, knowledge, skills, and ability. This is just the task tab to specific challenges inside our actual event and the challenge, the National California Cyber Innovation Challenge. So this was really, really a big win with us. We really wanted to ensure that the students are exploring the blueprint of the NICE framework and understanding what careers are out there. A lot of them didn't know about forensics. They're running autopsy, Wireshark. They had a PCAP that they had to look for and use. And what's really cool is they also had SDK, and you saw a little bit of that video where they're looking at a satellite rotating the Earth and had to try to find those things out. We also pivoted this year, and we used a wonderful platform that the students are on. We actually used Discord, and that's a really cool platform that is kind of a blend of Slack and Zoom. And what's interesting about that to me was the students are all using this for their gaming platform. So they'll play 2 or 3 different games together, and they use Discord as a means of communication. They'll put on their headphones, they'll flip on just a voice channel, and they'll listen to each other and watch each other play a game and work as a collaborative team. And we found this medium was very, very successful. And again, we had our little welcome booth here where they could come in. They had to, we wrote, I was really proud of this. One of the Cal Poly students wrote a profanity bot, a robot that if they were using explicative, nonsensical language, they were told 1 or 2, 3 times, and then they were actually thrown out and put in a holding room. So we did lots of cool bots to try to get the students to understand we're on their level and we want to work with Discord in this adventure. And I just thought it was really cool. We had an info booth. Of course, we had sponsors there helping us out. And one of my favorite components is we had 3 what I call, angel hackers, if you will, that were able to come into some of the teams after the first hour that had 0 points and they weren't making any progress. So we dropped in some ethical hackers and information security professionals to go into that room with them and help them. And that was a real cool thing to actually have other professionals helping other folks. The next thing I wanted to talk about was our Students Corner. We created a wonderful website with loads of resources before the challenge to get the students up and available and learning about VintSurf, understanding how to use Wireshark. Thanks to Laura Chappell, and she gave us a bunch of PCAPs and books and other things to get the students to the level they're supposed to be at before they did the challenge. We had lots of girl teams this year, which was amazing. And then of course we used digital badges and microcerts. And I think this is a really, really critical thing because we tied back these actual participant to actually the NICE framework. And we said, hey, if you've done some of these things, these are some of the skills and knowledge and tasks and abilities that you earned while you were learning how and while you participated in the California Cyber Innovation Challenge or CCIC 2020. So next thing I wanted to talk about really quick was some quick quotes from the students. So the cool thing about this from my perspective as a project manager and actually running this was the first ever virtual CCIC. This person said was an amazing experience. I learned a lot of new skills when competing today and hope to return for the next CCIC. So that was a really cool one I pulled out because they wanted more. They're excited about it, and it clearly reached and piqued an interest. The next one was, this experience really challenged me to think outside the box and analyze problems and new methods. I thought this was great because they're learning new things outside and different things that they may not have experienced before. And then the last quote I picked was, even though we stuck in this horrible pandemic, it was beautiful to see all these amazing people come together and make such a realistic environment for students and different and alike to thrive. So again, I'm really stoked that our challenge was very successful and it was awesome. And then for next year, my last slide for the day is we're going to be having the Grand Space Challenge. And thank you for listening to me today. I really appreciate it. And I hope, if anything, you could please connect with me at hdaniels@calpoly.edu. I'm this year's Global Range Master, or GERM as they're calling me, and technology coordinator, as well as their technical advisor. But we are having a planning meeting in December talking about what we're going to do next year. It will be revolving around space again, satellites, and understanding the assets and other things that are going on with our continual wonderment of space and how things are going. And hopefully to get some of you who are listening to get your schools involved. It will be a national competition this year. We have multiple states as well as other countries that will be involved in our challenge this year. So with that, I'm very excited to be able to say, very, very cool that you all came here today, and I'm super stoked that you were here. And I'd like to open it up now for questions. And I'll try to look at the chat really quick here in a second to see if there's some in there. But again, thank you for your time.